Okay, guys, this is going to be a longer video. I think I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible, so I'm going to talk fast. Firstly, when I got home today, so what I normally do is I take my laptop computer and I have an external keyboard. I tend to lock both up with the external mouse for the keyboard. I lock it in a bag with a lock so they don't fuck with it, right? It's because they're going to mess with it. Occasionally, I will forget and I'll leave the keyboard out, and then it stops working. So I have to lock it up. Well, today I got home and it was just the mouse that was on my computer desk. Now I know I put it away. The keyboard wasn't out, the computer wasn't out. It was just the mouse that was on the computer desk. Okay? This is the shit they do, and they do it on purpose. But people say, well, why don't you just lock your stuff up? Well, because it doesn't make a difference anyway. I do it because in my mind, well, that's going to prevent them from fucking with it. But in reality, they can get in. It's, I love the why don't yous. Why don't you? Why don't you do this? Why didn't you do that? And on. From people who don't realize how this actually works. And that this is not just a bunch of bullies. These are trained rats. Anyway. So a lot is going on. Today, as I got off public transportation and I was walking to see my mom, and every now and then they would have someone. Typically, they look Eastern European. None of them actually spoke, so I'm not going to say for sure, but that's how they looked. And I'm starting to get the idea of how to profile, right? And maybe that's not a good thing, but because so many of them do end up having Russian accents, Anyway. They would massively provoke, but right in front of security guards or law enforcement, or where a camera was. Like, they would walk by and, whisper. They would whisper something, but I wouldn't necessarily hear what they were saying. But they would also do it while making the same gesture over and over again. And it's a gesture I make sometimes because I have a nervous habit. Sometimes I think with the autistic community, it's called stimming. And what they'll do is they'll just over-exaggerate it. So they had these guys come and do that, just one after another, but right in front of security, right in front of the camera, right if there was a cop car, right in front of that. Because what they want is for the target to just snap in public, because then it looks like the target went crazy for nothing, right? They try to drive the target to discredit him or herself. These are rats. They swarm. They goddamn swarm you, and they're combining something that never should have been combined, right? Humans have we feel a natural revulsion to infestations, right? And all animals do. Okay, but now they're using humans for that purpose. That this is not something that should be combined. This is sick. Anyway, so what's going on? Firstly, I wanted two things that are connected here. One is so in the United States, we have a healthcare system where there's a middleman between us and our doctors, where we have the health insurance companies. And what they do is they will pay the doctors a lot of money for certain treatments, which then drives the doctors to keep driving up the fee because they know they can get as much as possible from the insurance companies. That makes it impossible for average Americans to pay out of pocket for most medical care. I'm not saying all, some things are pretty cheap. You can get away with it, but usually you need to go through an insurance company. You have to have a health insurance to pay for medical care. Like, if someone ends up in the ER, right, with a broken bone, it's going to cost them thousands of dollars if they have to pay out of pocket. So you need health insurance. Well, with the Affordable Care Act, they made it affordable, which is exactly how it sounds. Like, initially, health insurance would be so much a month that people couldn't afford it, at which point they couldn't get medical treatment if they needed it, right? So the Affordable Care Act created like a tier level where people who couldn't afford it could get it, and then you would charge based on your income. So for a while, I was really poor. I was really, really poor. And so I qualified for like the low-income health care. But recently, I've had an increase in monthly income. Not a lot, but enough so that I probably don't qualify for that anymore. I need new health insurance that I have to pay more for. So what happened? Well, I went at the end of July down to the office, and that was after calling all these numbers and getting the runaround, and you can't talk to anyone, and God damn it. So I just went down to the office and I spoke with someone. I never got to see a social worker, but the lady at the front desk, she gave me a form to sign. That is, in essence, it was a cancellation form for the health insurance. And so I asked her, okay, now when can I sign up for a new health insurance plan? And she said, just wait a few days until you get the cancellation notice. So I'm thinking, okay, fine. But deep down, I knew it wouldn't be that easy because I've waited for the state. I mean, I've had to deal with the state before regarding health insurance, and it was a nightmare. And I made a video about it regarding the government involvement in healthcare and why you don't want that. Anyway, that was at the end of July that I went in. I still haven't gotten the cancellation letter. Now, also, a few days ago, I had gone in to get a tetanus shot, and I'm going to explain why I had to do that. But let me finish this first. So when I gave my information, the pharmacist said, I told him I wanted to pay out of pocket. I asked him how much it was, and it was $80. That's not that bad, or 80 or 85, I don't remember. Not bad. But when he looked at my info, he said that I was still covered by the insurance plan. And I explained to him why I don't want to use that plan. They didn't cancel it. But technically I don't qualify for it anymore, and I don't think I'm allowed to use it. And I mean, that could be legal. That can get someone in serious legal trouble, right? If I'm still using a plan that I don't qualify for. So I figured, okay, I'm just not going to use it, and I'm upset that they haven't canceled it yet, right? Because I can't sign up for a new health insurance plan until they cancel that one. And I don't want to do anything that could get me in legal trouble because I've got these rats, these psychopaths, following me around looking for anything they can to use against me, to get me in any kind of trouble they can. So it's a mess. But anyway, so that's one thing. And I'm anticipating that this is just going to be a round and round thing with the state, again, which I don't have the energy for. Anyway, so why did I have to go get a tetanus shot? When I first moved into the building, this new building, I noticed that some things were kind of off. Like some of the plumbing was kind of shitty. The water kind of sprays out in the kitchen from the side of the faucet. There's some nails that are loose everywhere. It's like they cut a lot of corners. And don't get me wrong, it's a nice apartment, but they cut a lot of corners. It's like they patching things up with Band-Aids, right? It's kind of like if there's I remember the apartment that I used to live at with my mom, and this is before we moved into the old, I was a caregiver for her at an old person's, at a retirement home. I'm looking for the words right now. But before we moved there, I had experience with certain guys, and if there's a problem with the plumbing, with the pipes, they don't actually fix it. They'll plaster over it, but the problem is still there. So it gets worse and worse and worse. And at that point, my mom and I had to walk away from the condo, and she lost everything. But they wouldn't fix what was wrong. The problem is we didn't have the legal authority to hire anyone to fix it because technically the pipes in the wall belonged to the building. So we would need permission from the building to give the plumber to fix it. And the building wouldn't give us permission because they wouldn't admit anything was wrong. So this is what they do. They'll do patchwork, right? There can be a massive issue, they'll patch over it, put a Band-Aid on it, but the problem is still there, and then it keeps getting worse. So similar shit is happening here. When I first moved in, I noticed that in the bathroom, the shower head was very rusty. But I'm thinking, okay, well, it's not going to affect the water. It's on the outside. It should be fine. I mean, the inside, they build, they create shower heads for the purpose of being able to withstand water damage, right? I would assume. So I thought it would be fine. But over the months, I noticed that little by little, like wherever the water hit my shower curtain, it would start to get brown and kind of rust color. So that kind of worried me. I was at Walmart one day for a totally unrelated issue, and I passed an aisle with shower heads. So I'm thinking maybe I should just get one and have them put it in, right? Because in reality, when they say they're going to come fix something in the building, they technically don't, right? And I've had the maintenance guy for other issues just blow me off. Like, yeah, I'll fix it, and then he never does. Or I'll come this day, he doesn't come, and then he's very vague about when he'll come again. And the issue is, if I stay home and wait for him, he's not going to come. If I leave, then he'll probably say, well, why weren't you there? I was there. And I don't want to give him the chance to say that. I just don't have the energy anymore. I'm so goddamn tired of this shit. I'm so fucking tired of this crap. But I figured, all right, so I texted him from the store, and I didn't expect him to respond at all, let alone that day. But I figured I'm going to try anyway. And I asked him, okay, if I buy this, can you put it in? Ironically, he responded like right away, within maybe 10 minutes. And since I was still at the store, I went back to the aisle, and I looked at his, I'm opening the text as I'm walking back to the aisle because I saw it was from him. And I read it, and it was strange. Because I had told him that I'm at the store, I'm thinking about buying a shower head. If I buy it, can you put it in? He responded with, yes, what apartment are you in? Can I come now? Now, I wasn't home. I hadn't even bought the thing yet. What do you mean, can I come now? The whole can I come now part makes it seem like he's an attentive maintenance man who's ready and willing to do work when it needs to be done. But in reality, he knew that I wasn't home, and because I was at the store texting him from the store, right? But of course, when I texted him, a week later, because he still hadn't come, he blew me off. Because when it looks like he might actually have to come and do the work or explain why he hasn't, then he's not going to respond, right? He'll only respond quickly when he knows that there's no reason to go that day, when he can't. Anyway, so he said something rather vague, and I said, no, I'm at the store, but if I buy it, I just wanted to know if you'll put it in. And he said something like, okay, yes, I have to go to the building first, and I have to stop there, and I have to stop somewhere else first, and then I have to go somewhere. And I'm thinking, okay, well, what does he mean? Does he want to come tonight? What does that mean, right? I said, okay, well, you just let me know when you want to come. And he said, okay, right. All right, so I get home, and I actually rushed home because I wasn't sure whether or not he wanted to come that night, right? It was vague. Well, he didn't, and I got no response from him, so I waited. I'm thinking, all right, he's busy. A week later, he did not respond. And so I ran into him in the laundry room, and I asked him, hey, when do you want to come put the shower head in? I bought it. And that's too, at the store, I sent him a picture of it. I ended up taking a picture and asked him, would this work? And he said something like, it should, or probably, or something like that. So in the laundry room, I asked him, a week later, I bought it. I bought the shower head. When do you want? Just let me know when you want to come put it in. He said, okay. And then he said, yeah, I've got tools. I have to get the tools. Just take some tools. Okay. And then he walks off. But what does that mean? Is he coming now? He has to get his tools. He has tools. What does that mean? I said, well, wait. So let me know when you want to come. And he said, oh, okay, tomorrow. I come tomorrow. I said, okay, fine. I'll take the day off and I'll stay home, right? So the next day I stayed home all day. He did not show up. And I called him around like 4-ish, right? And no, I'm sorry. I texted him first. He did not respond at like around 4 o'clock. A half an hour later, I called him, and he said, oh, yeah, I can't come, busy doing stuff, can't come. I said, okay, I did take the day off, He said, yeah, busy, I can't, I come Monday, Tuesday, I come Monday, and like, I'm thinking, okay, well, which day, Monday or Tuesday? And he said, yes. Now this shit is the kind of shit that, because that's vague, Monday or Tuesday, yes. So now I don't know whether he's coming Monday or Tuesday, and in reality, he's not going to come either day. Unless I go out, then he'll probably call me and say, oh, can I come now? But if I stay home waiting for him, he's not going to show up. And I can't just stay home every single day in hopes that he shows up. So I told him, look, I have to stay home, and wait for you to come, so can you just let me know what day you want to come? We can schedule it. And he said, yeah, I call you. He hasn't called since. He hasn't. Okay. And then today, I went down to do laundry again. It's been a while. And I'm in the laundry room. He comes in and he just kind of sits there. It's weird. It's weird because he knows that he didn't show. He knows that he didn't call me. And he's just kind of sitting there. And earlier I was thinking in my mind, well, maybe I'll run into him in the laundry room. And so I did. Just sitting there. I walk in. A few minutes later, he comes in, just sits there. And then, I move my stuff. I think, okay, what should I ask him, am I in your way? Do you need something? And he says, oh, no. Washer not working, something like that. Then he looks at it and then walks out. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to do anything. Hey, I have never seen, it amazes me how far some of these guys will go to do as little work as possible while still getting paid and getting credit for doing work. But here's the thing, right? And here's the catch. Before I moved in here, I came so close to being homeless, it's ridiculous, even though I had money in the bank to pay first month's rent, last month's rent, and security deposit, right? Because you need a lot of things in order to be able to rent an apartment here. One is a credit score, okay? And you raise your credit score by taking out loans or credit cards, whatever, and then paying them back on time. You get in good standing with a credit company. That's how you raise your credit score. And in order to rent an apartment here, not all, but most places want a credit score of at least 650 or higher. So a person can have a lot of money, but if they don't have that credit score, they're not going to be able to rent an apartment. Okay, and if they're not rich, if they can't afford to buy a home outright, well, they're going to be homeless in a situation where homelessness is becoming illegal. Right, homeless camps are being torn down. Homeless people are being thrown in prison. There was just a thing where a few states, I don't know if it was California, but they're going to try to put, not conservators, what's the word, guardians, over homeless people who are supposedly mentally ill. Okay, there's the false mental illness diagnosis, right? And in states like it's bad. It's really bad. But anyway, so credit score is one thing. Another thing is you typically need, and it depends on the state and the city, but you usually need like 2 to 3 times the monthly rent and income before they'll approve you. So if you don't bring in monthly like 2 or 3 times more than the actual rent is, they're not going to approve you. Okay. And this is bad because like in certain red states, like in certain Republican states, they're trying to make roommates illegal. Like you can't live with they don't want you to live with anyone except immediate family. So which makes it even harder for people to be able to afford the rent. Let me see. And another thing, but here's the real issue. You need proof from a landlord that you live there, and you need to be in good standing with them. You need good references from a landlord for at least 1 or 2 years. It depends on the building. Some will allow you some will rent to you if you have 1 year good leasing experience. Others want 2. So if you cause too much problems in the building, if you continue reporting, if you continue, bothering them, they can just refuse to give you a positive reference when you move out, and you're not going to find any place to live after that. Okay? They make it really hard in the States to rent, and it makes it a lot easier for building managers and landlords and maintenance people to abuse their power. Because they know that if a tenant steps out of line, they can just refuse to give a positive reference, which can make it impossible for the tenant to rent anywhere else. So if you look at negative reviews for buildings online, you'll notice that a lot of those reviews were written after the people move out and already have another place to live. Okay, that's for a reason. You won't find a whole lot of people making negative reviews for a building while they still live there, because it might mean they can never move out, because they won't be able to find another place to live. And so like and here's the thing with like the shower head, right? The rusty shower head. A shower head shouldn't be that hard to put on. The problem is everything is so shoddy here, like put together, like really, really cheesy, and almost like the pipe for the wall, not just the shower head, but like the pipe that goes into the wall, and like the panel that holds it on. It looks like it's loose. Okay, it's loose, and I found that out like right away when I tried to fix it, reposition the shower head. I didn't break it. Okay, but it's almost as if they super glued it to the wall, and now the super glue is failing. So my thing is, if I fix it, if I put in a new shower head, it's already broken and shoddy, and you know, it's not good plumbing. But they can blame me for all of it, and they can either charge me, or that can count against me if I ever need a positive reference to rent anywhere else. They can blame it all on me. You know, so people say, well, why don't you just? Why don't you just? Why don't you? Why don't you? Why don't you? They don't understand what it's like here. Anyway, this is getting really long. Wow, this is getting long. I'm gonna stop talking right now. Anyway, I just wanted to update. Later.